Since the dawn of human civilization, people have been obsessed by the concept of ownership. And throughout time, we've become even better at creating new things to own, buy, sell, and trade. I'm Guy, and today I want to talk about non-fungible tokens, an often overlooked sector with huge potential. So, in this video, I'll go over 1. What non-fungible tokens are, 2. Why you might want to use them, and 3. Explore the opportunities for people like you and me within this sector. Also, make sure to stick around till the end where I reveal a few non-fungible token related projects that I've personally got my eye on. Now, before I get started, there are a few disclaimers to get out of the way. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do take time out to visit your own before making any moves in the crypto space. Also, if you've popped onto the channel for the first time, it's a pleasure to have you here. I release these videos regularly, so be sure you bash that subscribe button and ding the little bell to get them the moment they hit the tube. Okay, all set? Let's jump into the world of non-fungible tokens. In short, non-fungible tokens, otherwise known as NFTs, are essentially digital collectibles. They are cryptographic tokens that represent something unique. The thing to know is that all non-fungible tokens have 4 core characteristics. They cannot be replicated. They cannot be counterfeited. You can't print them on demand. They have the same ownership right and permanence guarantees as Bitcoin. However, the collectible can be personalized and unique. It's important to get your head around the difference between the terms fungible and non-fungible. Fungible tokens are perfectly interchangeable. It's a bit like the British pound. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't give a damn which British pound I get. A pound is a pound, and they are all perfectly interchangeable to me. The thing that most people care about is how many do they have. The same is true of commodities and privacy coins like Monero, although not necessarily Bitcoin. If you want to see why, check out my Monero review that I've linked to right over here. Non-fungible is a way of describing something that's not easy to exchange or mix with other goods or assets. It's something that we own that we have an emotional attachment to, like a collectible. A good way of explaining this in a straightforward way is looking at the antique market. Now, some of you from the United States have probably heard of a gentleman called Paul Revere. He was a famous patriot in the American Revolution who allegedly galloped through the streets in Concord, Massachusetts on the top of his horse, yelling, "The British are coming!" Now, as a Brit, I should probably take a moment out to apologise to all you American viewers for this little misunderstanding, and I sure hope you chaps treat us well in our ongoing trade deal negotiations. Now, back to antiques. When Paul Revere wasn't fighting the British, he'd dedicate his time to making awesome objects out of silver. Many of these survive to this day and are highly prized due to the craftsmanship and, of course, Revere's connection to the founding of America. If you hop over to the Sotheby's website, you can see that a silver coffee pot made by Paul Revere sold for over $700,000. The key thing here is that this special coffee pot is not interchangeable with any other coffee pot. This makes it a non-fungible real-world asset. I mean, would you really want to swap a coffee pot from, say, IKEA for the Sotheby's one? Of course not, they're not created equal. One is a mass-produced coffee pot and the other has hundreds of years' worth of history, a connection to a man famous for his role in the founding of America and his skills as a master silversmith. In short, the item has a cracking story behind it, and that's why it's the perfect thing for any collector of Americana to buy, though admittedly you'd have to get your hands on nearly $1 million first. But you know what I mean. The most famous example of a non-fungible token is probably a CryptoKitty. Each CryptoKitty looks different, has different attributes and colours. It's very much like antique items. These were issued on the Ethereum network, which is home to the vast majority of non-fungible tokens in existence today. And while we're on Ethereum, just to recap, there are 3 main types of Ethereum token standards. Firstly, I'd imagine most of you are familiar with ERC20 tokens. These are fungible tokens where every token is the same. Examples include Chainlink, Huobi token, and Crypto.com coin. Then you have ERC-721 tokens, which are non-fungible tokens. Here tokens are not the same. For example, a CryptoKitty which has a different design and attributes to others. And finally, we have ERC-1155. This Ethereum token standard isn't talked about much. However, it's an improved version of ERC-721 and ERC-20. It combines the benefits of both fungible and non-fungible tokens together. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, let's take the game World of Warcraft as an example. Within the game, you have gold as a fungible in-game currency. However, special items also exist in the game which are pretty unique and non-fungible. In a nutshell, the ERC-1155 standard allows for the issuance of both fungible and non-fungible assets. Pretty damn useful if you want to integrate crypto into games. So, now you know what a non-fungible token is, I want to move on to explain why I'm so excited about NFTs and why I think they could be super disruptive. The concept of ownership is a deeply human one, with roots all the way back to prehistory, where our ancestors owned and acquired collectibles like shells and bits of coral. You could say that these basic items were the original collectibles. What made these collectibles desirable was that they acted as a means for people to express individualism and identity. They also acted as a means of exchange and were hard to fake. The truth is that collectibles kick-started the creation of money, and that powered forward the creation of trade. The cool thing about our human ancestors inventing trade was that this acted as a catalyst for humans to create a plethora of new things that could be owned, bought, sold, and traded. That relationship of ownership and trade existed all the way until the invention of the internet. The reason why the internet was so disruptive was that it created a new category of stuff for humans to trade. Think about things like domains or cloud storage, for example. However, even more disruptive was the use of the internet as a digital distribution network. Pre-internet, you could own music by buying a physical CD. Ownership could be transferred by giving the physical disc to someone. However, what the internet enabled was the replication of items like songs, and it could even be used for the distribution of that asset to millions of people around the world, all at practically no cost. The old ownership rules of things could have been said to have been completely disrupted. Digital items simply don't follow the same ownership rules of physical items. People still listen to music and watch films. However, what many do not think about are the systems we use to consume that content. I'd wager most of you use Spotify to access music and Netflix to watch films or TV shows. Sure, these services allow you to access content. However, you do not own the content but are instead renting it. If you cancel your Netflix subscription, what are you left owning? Another thing that bothers me is that these platforms are highly centralized and are a bit like walled gardens. Once your money is on one of these platforms, you cannot transfer it to another ecosystem. What's scary is that most internet users think of themselves as owners of content. I hate to break the news, we're all renters now. Even worse, the record of our license rights is stored on a small number of computers controlled by a few mega companies. I also cannot take a digital item I've paid for and move it from one ecosystem to another without the permission of the company running the service. If we think of online platforms as digital real estate, this all seems very much like neo-feudalism to me. Now, if you believe that the internet should be truly open and play by the same age-old rules of physical items, then digital assets need to be owned. If we could guarantee those ownership rights, I think we could escape from the internet of walled gardens controlled by neo-feudal lords and move towards a more open system. That's one of the key reasons why I love the blockchain space. I think about Bitcoin and what it really means. Let's throw all the tech to the side here. Bitcoin helps people escape the walled gardens of banks through a network of computers which don't trust each other and come to an agreement on who owns a digital asset like one Bitcoin. Indeed, one of the many reasons why I saw the value in Bitcoin straight away was that it was the first digital asset that I came across that could really be owned. Now, Bitcoin is over 10 years old and was intended to be used as digital cash owned by the people who hold it. Think back to our ancestors trading shells or bits of coral. And now think about the idea of digital collectibles which can be used to express individualism and identity. You see, we've come back full circle. And it's even better now because now we have the technology to program these digital assets to do a ton of different things. That's why I find the concept of non-fungible tokens so exciting. This technology enables you to truly own digital assets for the first time in human history. No one can take these digital assets away from you, even the creators. Now, ideals are all well and good. However, non-fungible tokens are pretty pointless if you cannot use them. This all begs the question, how can you actually use non-fungible tokens? A cool website that I want to show you is called nonfungible.com. It's the equivalent of DeFiPulse.com for NFTs and showcases the trade volumes and projects using this new emerging asset. If we dive into the top 4 projects listed on the site, we can see that they are all gaming related. Decentraland is a virtual world. So is the Sandbox. Gods Unchained, on the other hand, is a trading card game. Finally, CryptoVoxels is yet another virtual world. All these games have digital asset marketplaces where you can buy plots or parcels of land within the game, or in the case of Gods Unchained, you can buy rare cards. Within virtual world games like Decentraland, you can hop over to the marketplace to buy digital clothes for your character, parcels of land within the game, and even highly sought after in-game names. Very much like eBay, these marketplaces typically have a buy it now option, or you can submit a bid in the hopes of getting the in-game asset for a lower price. As you can see, the main use case for NFTs right now is for in-game items. Now, to give you an idea of how big that market is, the PC gaming market is projected to be worth over $3.3 trillion, yes, trillion dollars in 2020 alone. Then you have mobile gaming coming in at a cool $74.4 billion per year. And then you have game consoles like the PlayStation being in a separate category of its own. The point here is that the gaming market is vast, and non-fungible tokens could play a key role in spreading crypto adoption to tens or even hundreds of millions of people around the world. Now, that's pretty exciting in my book. Another cool potential use case for non-fungible tokens is that they could be used to correlate the authenticity and supply of things like antiques or limited edition products. This can be done by tokenizing physical items and by linking them to an NFT. If we look at the trainer market, one of the most hyped releases is the Are Dior collaboration, which is set to launch in June 2020. These trainers have a retail price of $2,000 and a limited supply of 1,000 pairs. The problem for high-end items like Are Dior is that people naturally try and counterfeit them. Sure, some people might know they're buying a fake, but it's only too tempting for anyone creating a great fake to try and pass them off as the genuine item and earn more money. Non-fungible tokens could be issued for each pair of Are Diors, and potential buyers could scan the trainers on a public blockchain to verify that the shoes in front of them are genuine. The cool thing with this example is that if NFTs are used, it also helps solve the problem of knowing whether Nike has actually only created 1,000 pairs. All that info would be available on a public blockchain, and that helps a buyer know how many of a certain item are out there. Oh, and it's worth mentioning that the VeChain project is employing similar tracking methods for product supply chains, although instead of using non-fungible tokens, they're using NFC chips packed with the items. Moving on though, I want to take a look at how non-fungible tokens can be used in the rapidly expanding decentralized finance or DeFi space. Now, you'll probably know that in the real world you can put up collateral like a house, jewelry or gold to get yourself a loan. In a nutshell, you can take pretty much anything of value and use that item to borrow against. Well, Andrew Steinwood talked about the possibility of borrowing against non-fungible assets in his cracking blog post all the way back in August 2019. I mean, it doesn't sound so ridiculous, does it? If you own a parcel of digital land in a game like Decentraland, which actively trades at a certain price, you should be able to borrow against it, right? The cool thing is that there are companies developing this very concept. Chainlink by Centrifuge is one such enterprise. The platform is all about allowing users to draw down loans against non-fungible assets like invoices, royalty payments, and collectibles. They claim that any asset represented on-chain as an NFT can be financed using Chainlink. In other words, such platforms allow for NFTs to be used within the DeFi ecosystem. And that's not all. At the DeFi Summit in London, the record label Paperchain teamed up with Centrifuge and Maker to get an advance on $60,000 worth of Spotify revenue. The astonishing thing about this is that the advance was executed on Centrifuge's Chainlink platform, and the record label got the money in less than 30 minutes at a transaction cost lower than $3. Incredibly, revenue from Spotify typically takes 3 months to get to the record label and about 6 months to reach the artist. Now, that long process means that a lot of money is stuck in limbo. For example, Paperchain claims that the wider music industry has around $100 billion stuck in limbo due to this time-consuming process. The question is, will more record labels start seeing the benefits of combining NFTs and DeFi? To me, it seems like a no-brainer. I'd like to get paid in 30 minutes rather than 3 to 6 months. Thank you very much. Chainlink is not alone in thinking that NFT loans are a good idea. A company called Rocket are also getting in on the action by offering loans of up to 5,000 DAI secured against NFTs. What all this means is that you're able to take digital items, in-game land or digital playing cards from NFT games like Decentraland and Gods Unchained and use them as collateral to get a loan. The connection of non-fungible tokens to the DeFi ecosystem has already happened, and I find it incredible that so few people in crypto are talking about it. Now, I'm sure you're aware of DeFi's hockey stick growth. However, the truth is that NFT market growth is crushing that. If we hop over to nonfungible.com and click Decentraland, we can see that there was $234.5 million worth of NFT trading volume in the last 7 days. If we take a look at the past month's volume, we can see that this was just $527 million. That means in the last week there was more NFT trading volume on Decentraland than there was in the first 3 weeks of the month combined. Now that is some pretty explosive growth. So you've probably guessed that I'm pretty excited about non-fungible tokens. However, where are the opportunities in this sector of DeFi for people like you and me? The way I personally look at it, NFTs are a new asset class entirely, and that when new asset classes come onto the market, it's those who jump in first and take the risk that get rewarded the most if things really do take off. An analogy I'd like to make is the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus in 1492. It's no secret that things were pretty tough for the settlers, and America took quite a bit of time to explore and map. Anyhow, flash forward to 1626, where a little-known guy called Peter Minuit brokered a deal with the Lenape Native Americans to buy Manhattan Island for the Dutch. Now, how much was paid for Manhattan Island? Well, we actually know the answer because a letter survives stating that the island was bought for 60 guilders worth of trade goods. This translates into about $1,050 in 2015 dollars. God knows how much the whole of Manhattan is worth today. The point is that Peter Minuit took a risk back in the day when land in America was an emerging asset and very early stage. I'm thinking the same could be true if you choose the right NFTs. Now, I must make it very clear that I don't have any track record when it comes to picking out games that could become popular. Will Decentraland and its mana token go to the moon? I've frankly got no idea. What I'm personally really interested in is NFT infrastructure plays. The reason why is that these don't depend on a single game being successful. I like to cast my net out wide. One project I really like is called Wax, which is focused on creating a digital asset marketplace for in-game items. The way I think about it is that Binance is the exchange for fungible tokens, and Wax could become the exchange for non-fungible tokens. Whilst I'm super excited about platforms like Chainlink, the problem is that you still cannot borrow against NFTs and get a cash loan paid directly into your bank account, let alone in a non-custodial way, which is true to the spirit of DeFi. Another project I've been following closely is Nimiq, who are set to launch a non-custodial fiat gateway called Nimiq Oasis. Even more interestingly, it will support the ERC-721 and ERC-1155 standard and could provide an additional way to exchange NFTs for euros paid directly into your bank account. If you want more info on Nimiq, then I have a separate review that you can watch right here. Nice job on making it this far. I know there was a lot to take in and I've thrown a lot of information at you. However, if you'd allow me, I'd like to take up another minute or so to share my closing thoughts on NFTs. I'm really excited about the potential and application of non-fungible tokens. From an idealistic point of view, I love the idea of taking back true ownership of our digital assets, and I can see how NFTs could lead to the creation of a more open internet. The explosive growth of non-fungible token trade volume also shouldn't be overlooked, and I think that this new emerging asset class could play a key role in further strengthening the existing DeFi ecosystem. I'm also super excited about the integration of non-fungible tokens into games and how this could power forward the mass adoption of crypto. However, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. The truth is that NFTs and their surrounding infrastructure are still very new. The barriers to adoption are still very high, and I think that as things stand, it's an exceptionally big ask to expect a non-crypto holder to actually use non-fungible tokens. Put simply, storing, trading and using NFTs isn't that easy, and it requires quite a bit of crypto knowledge to get involved. Also, NFT issuance platforms like Ethereum need to be able to scale for non-fungible tokens to really take off. I guess we'll see what the likes of Ethereum will do there. If you're interested, then why not check out my Ethereum 2.0 video where I talk about scalability. Will non-fungible tokens disrupt digital ownership? I don't know. Having said all of that, I do believe that something truly incredible is happening in the NFT space, and I'm excited to see how things develop in the future. So that's all for today. But what do you think about non-fungible tokens? Are they something that you're going to look into more closely? I'm looking forward to answering your questions in the comments below. Also, remember to drop me a like if you liked this video and sub if you loved it. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll be back at you with another crypto video real soon. You guys have spoken. I have a long list of projects that you want me to review. There's now a short list of candidates for a final vote. These 4 are listed in this Twitter poll, which I've also linked to below. There are only a few days left to vote, so please be quick. The chosen coin will be released in my weekly newsletter. Oh, and you can also sign up to that in a link below. It's my weekly take on everything in the crypto markets. I also throw some tips that you won't want to miss. Take care, guys.